nervous. Okay, go.
Already win. Okay. While we wait for people to come on, I'm dating
Did you find
myself.
it? Did you find it?
Can you hear it? You can't hear it?
I can't hear anything.
I think it just me can hear it. The good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Talk about sex, baby. You guys hear it? Can you hear it?
It's a little.
It's so low. Yeah, it's a little low. Okay, well, anyway, hello. I see people are starting to come on. I got Salt and Pepper playing. Let's talk about sex, baby. It's kind of low. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. Okay, let me turn it off. And welcome. All right, welcome. So, those who are coming on, we can't see your name or who you are. So just say hello. Let us know you're here, who's here. Um, just saying a hello, your name, so that we can know who we're talking to. So today, Nefertiti and I are going to be talking about relationships, sex during this time of quarantine, during this COVID-19. Oh, that's a loud sneeze. The heck is that? Anyway, um, what? You went on mute, Nefertiti. You got to get off mute. Oh, okay. There's still noise
That
going
was
on.
that was for your own good, everybody. At the moment she said during these times of COVID, the neighbor walks by, hacking his lungs out.
Oh my God. So that means the neighbor might have COVID or
I
something.
don't think so.
You know how we're getting. You know how we're getting right now. The minute somebody coughs, we're like, and then like we're running. Um, yeah, just yesterday, not yesterday, just the other day, I was walking to go to the grocery store. Somebody walked past me, coughed, did not cover his mouth, and I was like, man, I wanted to go off on him, but I was like, shit, if he has it, I ain't gonna try to attack him, have him yelling and screaming at me, and then I get it. So I just kept on walking. But anyway, so
Yeah.
so Nefertiti and I guess some of you guys probably don't know who Nefertiti is, and hopefully, if you're on this, you know who I am. But Nefertiti and I met. Oh my God, how long ago? In Salvador, maybe like 6, 7 years ago.
We met in 2000. Jesus, sorry guys, it's a lot of coughing outside. We met in 2013, so
2013,
7 years ago. Yeah.
7 years ago, yes. And so Nefertiti is amazing, an amazing woman. I have learned so
Stop.
much from her. And she's one of the ladies that I go to when I'm about to go crazy and I need some advice. So, like, when I'm like, oh my God, I'm arguing with so and so, I need to talk to you. And she's right there and she's like giving me such great advice and calming me down. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yes, it
With,
could be my chart that has a lot to do with it.
uh-huh.
My Mercury's in Virgo, which means it is
Virgo's in the house.
exalted in Mercury,
Hmm.
Virgo. Uh, and my Venus is in Scorpio. So
That means you're a freak too. You know, Virgos and Scorpios, they some
we're
freaks.
not there. It's not just freakiness. What it is a profound understanding of what's not always there in front of you. So there's an
Mm,
instinct there that, because I think when we think about moments in our relationships, there's sort of different dimensions. Um, Let me close the door. There's different.
okay.
There's different dimensions to how we communicate and the dimensions of where we sort of engage with people. There's the physical, which is sort of the most obvious, but even within the physical, there's planes within that. So there's your, I mean, as you know, as a tantric therapist, there's the skin, which has its own sort of vibration. There is the connection of blood and heat, which is another kind of connection. And then there's the organs, right? The organs
Mm-hmm.
that not only the sexual organs, but everyone has a relationship to their brain, to their liver, to their kidneys, to their digestion that also impacts how we relate to ourselves and then to other people. So there's like a whole
Right.
physical realm, and then there's the emotional realm, and then there's the intellectual realm, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right. So,
So yeah,
and
I
I
just
think,
went on a rant.
but no, that was good. But in addition to that, you're you have a shamanic background, and so your intuition is so good. And so even I've learned stuff from her, like I've done a shamanic training. Even before I did the shamanic training, I've had people come and ask for some healing work and some cleansing, and then yeah, okay. Then there's let me see. I think there's a little delay. Is it a long delay or we have someone on? Can you let me know if are you hearing a delay? Does it sound weird? Let me know. I don't know what to do if there is. Are you talking, Nefertiti? Maybe your is your internet? How's your internet? Okay, so we can't hear Nefertiti. I'm gonna go ahead and talk right now. So as I was saying, I don't know what's going on. I think there's a little delay. She looks like she's freezing a little bit. Are you there, Nefertiti? I think there's a slight delay. I don't know what's going on, but we have people coming on. So
No,
introduce yourselves. Hello, Natasha. Natasha says there's no delay. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for letting us know. Um, so
it's
just a little
fine.
bit about it's fine. Just a little bit about Nefertiti, a little bit more. Her intuition is so great, and she's taught me how to like read eggs and what it means, like when I'm doing cleansing of people. So if you don't know, so in a shamanic tradition,
You know
we use
what?
eggs, organic eggs
Sorry.
for healings. Uh huh.
Okay.
We can hear you. Oh my God, we can't hear you, Nefertiti. Okay, we got like some more people are coming on, and I don't know what's going on. We can't hear Nefertiti. With your Wi-Fi, internet. But we're going to be talking about
So, okay, I figured out what happened,
relationships
Renee. I had the YouTube
and
open that people were hearing of us. So it was playing both at the same
oh,
time. Can you hear
okay,
me?
yeah, you got to
Yes.
turn that. You got to, yeah,
You
yeah.
can't hear me.
Oh, good. All right, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, are you there? You're good. I don't know what's going on with Nefertiti. Anyway, figure that out, Nefertiti.
Are you
I don't
seeing
know.
me?
Okay, she mentioned her chart. Yeah. How, Natasha, can you hear me, Nefertiti?
Okay.
Oh, I don't know what happened. So, Natasha, she mentioned her chart. How do we um learn this own chart? It can be answered later. Okay. Yeah, so we'll talk about that. We can write to you. But astrology is really good. But anyway, I don't know what's going on with her. I think her internet is kind of going out. But we're going to be talking about just different ways to like not go crazy when you're in a relationship or if you're single. And Nefertiti will be sharing her experience as she's in a relationship and she's living with her partner, and just some things that they've done that's worked for them. Um, I'm currently single and I'm living by myself. So I'm going to talk about what I do and what's been helping me. And then also from the psychological point of view, just really giving some tips, some different things that can be done to help you maintain some sanity during this. Let me just send her a message. All right. So right now, just for you to know, not to go in panic, but education is important. Okay, I'm back. So, and I think she's back now too. So it's raining here. So I think that's what's going on. Is it raining where you are, Nefertiti?
No. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
okay. Okay, we can hear you.
Great. Okay,
Okay.
I will try not to
So
make any sudden movements.
okay. Okay. So towards the end, Natasha is asking about how do we learn how to read our own charts. So maybe at the end, Natasha's gonna have to hang on until the end, and then you could answer that question. She said you mentioned the charts and she wanted a little bit more about that. So
Okay.
yeah, so just going getting right into it as people are coming on to not have them waiting too much longer. So I was already just starting to say, you're gonna share from your point of view, living with your partner, what's working for you, what's helping you. I'm going to share from someone who's single right now what I can do and what I've been doing to just really kind of help me. So we could just kind of go back and forth, and I'll just start a little bit in terms of with me being single, and one of the things that um for me that I'm feeling like is helping me maintain my sanity and maintain my sense of peace is knowing that, okay, this is a time to really focus on myself. This is a time to do the work that I need to do. Um, and it's always a constant process of working. So no matter where you come, how far you come in life, where you're at, you're always gonna have to keep doing work on yourself. The work is almost never done. So, I'm constantly, by being a Virgo by nature, Virgo's always wanting to study. We're perfectionists. We need to get everything perfect. So I'm
Mhm.
constantly working on myself, and so one of the things is now is the time that I'm noticing it's a great time, isolation, to come in instead of having all of these different distractions and really just work on myself. How am I doing
Mhm.
that? I'm reading books, I'm journaling, I'm doing my breath work. I'm doing a 21-day breath challenge with everyone on Instagram at my Instagram, which is Prandata Prim. I'm also doing through Zoom. So those are different things, that we could all do together, just to really
Mhm.
maintain some sanity. And so that's just a little bit about what I've kind of started doing for me. And I'll let you go in a little bit, so I'm not just talking for a whole long time.
So I think those are really great things to be doing now that we're all forced to kind of look inward. And the only sort of distractions from ourselves right now is what's happening with the pandemic. So it's really narrowed our focus to, it's hard. People are working remotely, but it's hard to focus on what they're working on because there's this pandemic happening, and so there's this space that exists now for us to sort of look inward. And I think it's an opportunity that to think about the same sort of I guess you could say, obsession or caution that we're having, or interest, or need to know information about how this virus is developing, uh, we can sort of take that same sort of vigilance and point it to ourselves. So what
Right.
I mean by that is to really, I mean, we're all sort of, really paying attention to the new facts that are coming up. And that comes with observation, that comes with observing patterns, that comes with observing trends, that comes with observing how things are developing. And it's that same sort of lens of observation that I think is good for us to have towards ourselves in how we relate to, since we're talking specifically about ourselves as as people who are lovers in the world, as people who engage intimately with people in the world, to think about, what are to kind of take a moment, and this can even be a practice or focus for some of your meditations. You do the daily 21-day challenge that I am doing, guys. It's really great. I encourage everybody to log on 2 p.m. Eastern time every day as a moment to just breathe. So that's one space, and there's other ways to meditate where you can really sort of take that moment to focus on observing who you are in relation to other people. So, how is it that I communicate? What are my tendencies? When I'm talking on the phone with someone I'm interested in, what is sort of the path that I take as I communicate? Where is it that I have grown, and where is it that I'm still struggling with? And how is it that I can what is it that I want to change, and how can I imagine myself getting there? Who are the people in my life who, who, perhaps have a particular kind of behavior or communication style that I admire, or that I respect, or that I want to know more about. So to really think about this moment as also us observing and studying who we are as people in relationship, really, especially communication. I feel like at this time of quarantine, the way we're relating to people physically has been really limited, but we've increased our time in how we communicate and speak to people.
And I think
Whether
that I think this is so important because so many of us are freaking out and we're like, oh my God, social distancing and how long is this going to last, and getting stressed and frustrated. But this is actually really a time where the universe is asking for us to change. There's a shift happening. There's a huge shift happening. And so this is the time to really do the work on ourselves so that we can shift and we can get to a place where we're in a better place. And these are so many important things. This is so important for us to do whether we're single or in a relationship.
mm-hmm,
And and if you're in a relationship, you still need to do this. If you're single, you still need to do this. That way,
mm-hmm,
you can figure out what's going on so that you can change your patterns and enter into a relationship if that's what you want. And if you're in a relationship, if you're figuring out these patterns and making shifts, then your relationship can improve. You know, and
mm-hmm,
there's just so many different things. Like, I had one friend, and I'm not sure if you were doing this or not, but I had a friend who was telling me, I had asked her, how are you, you and your partner getting along in this during this quarantine? And they were like, they really had to like set routines and like discuss. And
mm-hmm,
oh wait, was that you? Plan out what time you're doing, like who's cooking, who's not, when somebody
mm-hmm.
might be safe. So I don't know if it was you who said that or someone else.
It
Oh,
was me.
it was you. Okay, yeah, talk about that then. Since you said
Yeah.
it, go ahead and talk
So
about that.
I think that um, I think it came from a place of my companion and I, Julie, she and I, the work we do production work, we coordinate projects in arts and culture. So we sort of have a tendency to think about things and how they're organized. And since we would be spending so much time in the house, and what we would be doing had to do with house things, and really thinking about like, okay, how are we going to try and make the space we live in as harmonious as possible? So I think that the first thing we did was sort of identify that as a goal, as like a real goal to try and be conscious of every day that we're sharing space. So
Mhm.
if this is a goal, then it kind of makes it clearer how we divide our time and our space and why we're dividing it that way. So we live in a little 2-bedroom apartment in Salvador, and it's very hot for folks who are in the state on stateside. It's about 85, 90 degrees, high humidity. And I'm a person
Mhm.
that's very hot.
Yeah, you
I
hot,
have a lot of
baby.
fire, and so I have moments where so even just that thing I said way in the beginning about like really being conscious of the planes, like to really understand what is it that my body, how does it react to certain elements, to certain climates, to certain foods, because that can have an impact on how we are with who we're sharing space with or who we're
Right.
talking to on the phone. So this is literally what we've done, like identified, okay, I get hot really easily, you know. So just thinking about, okay, what does that mean for the space then? That means that, I have to be more conscious of like how I deal with it. I can't take my frustration with the heat out on another person. And if I do, like really identifying that and being like, I'm sorry, that wasn't about you, that was about me and the state I'm in. So, and that all has to do with that primary goal we have of like really trying to build, making it clear that we want a harmonious space. So we divided, we like order. She's a Taurus.
Mhm.
And we were like, okay, well, let's also really think about how we can share responsibilities so that nobody feels like they're doing too much and overworked, and not just really trying to share how we do things. So we made a schedule for who cooks lunch, who cooks dinner, when we clean, when we wash certain things. So we don't have a washing machine, so we hand wash everything. And just thinking about like, okay, the days this person cooks is the day that the other person goes to the market. So there's sort of this like logistical,
Mhm.
day-to-day stuff. um,
Yeah.
and then really identifying like, when do we have space for me, myself, and when do we have
Mhm. That's
space
important.
where we're together and we're intentional about being together. And so we've sort of organized that space so that nobody feels like, oh, I'm being neglected or I'm being ignored or I'm tired of being with this person. It's kind of clear, like when we have those times, and then just checking in the next day, every couple of days about, how's this working? Is this working or not? Should we make some shifts? And just being really loving and honest with that process.
Right.
So yeah, that's
And
how we're
mhm.
doing it.
And that's important. And one of the things that I started doing with some friends is just scheduling dates, Skype
Mm-hmm.
dates, Zoom dates, WhatsApp dates with the video where we can see each other and we're talking and we're connecting. And it's a time to get back to what we used to do. Now actually the social distancing we've already been doing because no one calls each other anymore. Everybody's on their
Yeah,
phones
nobody
texting,
calls each
you know.
other. We text
Yeah. So this is a time to get, yeah, just
every
text. Everybody
week
just text.
remotely, and with more and more, we're less excited about going out as well.
Right, right. So, this is a good time to actually reconnect and not just text. Like do video calls with each other. If you have WhatsApp, do a video call with WhatsApp. If you don't, do a Zoom or Skype and look at each other, see each other. And this is time to actually just strengthen relationships that hasn't, that maybe you've been distant from for some time. Maybe it's a family member, friend, ex, whoever, and this it's a time to just really connect with that person. I have so many books that I haven't read yet, and so that's one of my goals is to really read and to get these books. I have tons of self-help books. I have tons of books on tantra, Taoism, so I could just really go deeper into my field. And I'm like, now that I have this, I'm doing that. I'm doing my yoga every day. You know, one of the things Nefertiti is inspiring me to do is go running. She went running today, and I was like, oh, maybe I need to go running. You know,
With a mask.
I'm a right with the mask. I have my mask, and and I am thinking about doing that because
So
this is the thing. So even, in addition, if we're home and we're sitting down and we're not as active as much, we can gain weight because we're not as active as we used to be walking to work, walking around an office. And if we're home, we're not as active. So even though we're social distancing, we can go out and get some fresh air, wear your mask, wear some gloves, and go jogging, go for a brisk walk, go to nature, be in nature. Um, just because we're in quarantine doesn't mean that we can't go to a park and be in nature and hug a tree and get in that dirt, put your feet on the dirt and ground yourself. It's important. If you can walk or if you can take your car, just go in your car, get there, be there for a little bit, just make sure you're far away from other people, and just have that time to reconnect to nature, reconnect to yourself.
hmm Renee, I had a question for you.
Hmm.
So it's a time where you can do a lot of sort of self-care activities, and there's also a lot of like sexual desire that also happens in this time of just like, okay, I got extra time, I got extra energy, and there's
Hmm.
moments where it's like I want to have great sex.
Right.
And how are you dealing with that sensation when it comes up as someone that's single?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
How are you negotiating that?
Great question. So the Bridge Point actually just wrote that. You can't see the comments. He said, hello, Phil is his name. He said, strengthen relationships with yourself too. And that's an important thing. So one of the things that I'm doing is my self-care, my self-exploration, my self-pleasure. And so what does that mean? I'm touching myself, I'm breathing, I'm using the breathing techniques that I've taught during the 21-day breathing challenge, and I'm just going through my entire body. And one of the things that's important when we're self-explore or we're masturbating, we so quickly go to the vagina and we're just doing the vagina, with our fingers or a vibrator, and you have a quick orgasm and then you're done. So it's like explore your body, and that's one of the things that I'm doing. I'm breathing and I'm rubbing on my breast, I'm rubbing on my face, on my ears, my head, my eyes, my nose, and I'm just really connecting to my body. And
Mm.
I'm also talking to myself. I love you. You're beautiful. You're awesome. And it just feels so good. Hold up. I'll be right back, y'all. and so, and I'm just doing that. And I'm just kind of really just connecting and feeling myself and just feeling my entire body. And I do that at least 20 minutes. After
hmm
at least 20 minutes, then I'll go to the vagina area, the yoni area, and I just start talking to her, the womb area, and I'm like, I love you, you're beautiful, you're healthy, you smell so good, and you taste so good. And then I start like, exploring the outer lips, the inner lips, the clitoris, and just stimulating the clitoris for those who are coming on. I'm talking about what I do as a single woman and as a single man or woman, what you can do to take care of yourself and please yourself. Please feel
hmm
free to say hello. Let us know that you're here. Ask any questions. And then let me get back to the clitoris. And then I'm just feeling on it and I'm rubbing on it and I'm feeling so good. And then I bring out the vibrator, a little extra umph. And then I get that bad boy and I'm just like, moving around and I get to that right spot and I just leave it right there. And it's just like, ah. So you asked. Anyway, but it's important. And I
No,
know
I
that
think it's very important. And
it's very
I wanted
important.
to point out that what I think was important was that the way you approach masturbation
Mhm.
during this time is an approach that's about taking time to love on yourself. So
Exactly.
it's not like a quick, oh, let me just get off because I'm feeling like I have energy to release. It's like
Right.
let me have a conscious interaction that's about elevating your body and your spirit
Yes.
for a good amount of time. And
Right.
that's really beautiful. And I feel like this quarantine is an opportunity for us to get comfortable with
Mhm.
giving ourselves a relationship with every aspect. I
Mhm.
love that you were like you start with your head and you
Mhm.
really just give time to appreciate yourself, your body before you even get to the final climax,
Yeah,
and really
yeah, and
giving
that's so.
that and making that time for
Mhm.
it. I think that's what's really key.
Mhm. And
And
that's so
thinking about,
important. No, I was just gonna say,
sorry, go
just
ahead.
piggybacking on that, it's so important now because normally everybody's always so busy. You're rushing to work and you're stressed and you got a million things to do. Guess what? We don't have to rush to work. We don't have to rush. We're working from home. So how much time do you have extra where you don't have to drive into work? Or some
Hmm.
people or don't have work right now, So there's time that you're home and everything, there's a blessing in everything. And the blessing to this is the time to really self-explore, connect to yourself, learn how to love yourself, connect to your partner. And you know what? If you're doing these different things, we're going to be talking about different things. If you're doing these things with your partner and you end up realizing that, oh my God, this person is driving me crazy, then maybe you just realize that this is not the person for you. You know what I'm saying? Or
Hmm.
so what's going to happen is it's either going to deepen, it's going to strengthen, or it's going to end.
Hmm.
And either way, you know that this is what's supposed to happen, and now you're only learning. But let's try to put in some tools so that if this is the person for you, it does not end. And the same thing with self-exploring, have more time. So many times when we're having sex with a partner, we're rushing and we only see things we learn from porn. And so the porn is not so realistic. So let's not rush. Let's take the time to nurture your partner, to show how much you love and you care about your partner. So the same thing before rushing into having sex, allow the foreplay to not just be foreplay with the end goal of having sex, coming and going to sleep. Let it be with the end goal of getting to know your partner, connecting to your partner on an energetic level. And if you don't have sexual penetration, that's okay. You don't have to have sexual, penetration. The two of you can connect, you can breathe together, you can eye gaze together, you can
Hmm.
explore different parts of the
Hmm.
body together, touching your partner in places you've never touched before, using different pressures, fast,
Hmm.
harder. Explore different things. Maybe you might want to explore kink. Maybe you might want to explore S&M. Get some wax and put some hot wax on them. Maybe, just explore different things and see. Maybe you might realize you like something different that you would not have liked before. So
Yes, so take the time to explore. I wanted to ask you something else, Renee. For the folks in the world who don't have, who aren't, who don't have the, I don't know if it's privilege, I don't know if it's luxury, I don't know if it's ability to be quarantined. There's a lot of people in the world who are still working, health service workers, restaurant folks, food service folks, grocery store clerks. And I want to give a shout out to all those people who are still holding down those very essential spaces open. It's not
yeah,
easy, it's not fair. And, hopefully there'll be some policies where those folks can get more wages because of the work they're doing and the risks that they're
hopefully.
taking. And so I bring up these folks because how is it, they're in these environments where they're at risk and thinking about the, generates anxiety, thinking about their risk. They get home and, stress. This whole situation has generated sort of a lack of attention to pleasure. And
Hmm.
so, how can making time to pleasure yourself or pleasure somebody else for the folks who are on the front lines in all those different ways, is it important for them? What is their impact? What's that impact on their well-being, on their health, on their anxiety, um, and sort of thinking about that too as a way of taking
Hmm.
care of those folks, and like I don't know if I'm being clear, but basically,
Yeah.
is how important is it for not just the folks in quarantine, but the folks who are in between spaces to be um, making that time and space for themselves.
Yeah, it's so important. It's essential. And those people who are high risk, really everyone, but those people more importantly who are out there at risk every day going to work, because they have to, they have no choice. They're working in places that are open, like restaurants, grocery stores, and they're putting themselves at risk to take it. They need to take even more care of their health. They need to make sure that they're drinking more water. They have alcohol on hand. They have, using gloves if they're taking money, or they're exchanging different things. So they have to do those different things. And at home, it's really important to take time when you wake up in the morning or before you go to sleep. Do some breathing, some deep breathing into your nose, out through your mouth. Sending energy to your lungs, putting your hands on your lungs and visualize a white light, sending love and white light to your lungs, to strengthen your lungs. We do have the power to help heal and cure ourselves, to heal ourselves. I believe that. So just sending loving, healing energy to your lungs, also to your kidneys, sending that same energy, putting your hands behind your back and sending energy to your kidneys. Your kidneys, because kidneys is connected to fear. And so in
Mm-hmm.
Chinese medicine, the kidneys is connected to fear. And so you want to send love, healing energy to your kidneys, sending trust,
Mm-hmm.
confidence that everything is going to be okay. Then to your spleen. In Chinese medicine, your spleen is connected to worry,
Mm-hmm.
preoccupation. So sending loving, healing energy to your spine, to your spleen, and which is like on your left side below your rib cage, sending energy there. Imagine a white light. So these are little extra things that you could do to just
Mm-hmm.
send energy to your organs, to your body, so that you can strengthen your immune system. I don't know how it is in the States. Here in Brazil, there's tons of free things that they're offering right now, free yoga classes online, free dance classes, many different things. So, if you have the ability and the time, do that. Take advantage of the different free courses. I know that on Instagram, there's many different people doing free, free yoga, free different things online. I'm also doing the free 21-day breathing challenge at 2 p.m. Eastern time every day. So take advantage of the things that are free so you can go and do. Yeah. And what are your thoughts on that question, Nefertiti?
No, just and I mean, just thinking about too, like, um, is there evidence that aside from all of those practices, I guess what I'm trying to understand, all of those practices are part of what make you um, somebody who's sort of grounded and centered in the work you're doing, but
Mhm.
also grounded and centered in the relationships you're having sexually,
Yes.
right? So I guess all of that you just mentioned is part of also the um, the work that we're doing to get pleasure.
Hmm.
And I guess, and I'm curious to know, is pleasure, so is masturbating tied to immune system support? Is it, what is its impact on the immune system, if you know of anything, or its impact on stress levels, on hormone levels? Is that something that we should be really championing for people? Not, again, not just in quarantine, but the folks sort of on the front lines, because I feel like we got to shout out to all those folks to take care of themselves in so many different ways. So I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Oh, yeah. So I had actually posted that a couple times, I believe, on Facebook or
Mm,
Instagram. Orgasms actually does increase your immune system. It boosts your oxytocin levels so you feel better. And
mhm,
there's been studies for like decades that talks about the benefits of orgasms. Orgasm is so healthy. It's so important for you to have a healthy immune system, to feel better, to release tension, release stress. So, masturbating, which I like to say is self exploration, just because when we use the word masturbation in my mind, it still has that connotation of doing this quick thing to get
Mhm.
off,
Mhm.
and everything has its place. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. Sometimes
Mhm.
we want a quick get off, but
Mhm.
in this time right now, I do want to emphasize self exploration to connect with your body, get to know
Mhm.
yourself, getting to know your partner, and more
Mhm.
that you're self exploring, you can tell your partner what feels good to you. And this is an
Mhm.
important time to have this communication because so many women, we fake orgasms. We're like, and nothing's really happening. And so this is a time for you, even if you're in a relationship, have your time to self explore, and maybe
Mhm.
talk to your partner. I want to be in a room a little bit by myself. I want to explore. Or you could do it with your partner there watching. He
Mhm.
might enjoy that. Maybe he or she might be right there self exploring next to you. Maybe you both decide, okay, let's self explore together and let's breathe together, and get to know each other. Then you both share, okay, this really felt good to me. Can you try this on me? And so finding different ways to express what feels good, but it's important for you to know. And this is going to help you improve your relationship with your partner and have a deeper connection, and then with you self-exploring on your own or with your partner, you're having these orgasms, it is going to help boost the immune system, help you be more relaxed, help you to be able to be more focused and be creative. The sexual energy is our creative energy, it is our life force energy. So this is the
Mhm.
energy that helps us to manifest different things that we want. It's the energy that helps us to create the life that we want. So using
Mhm.
this energy and setting intentions as well for what you want in your life during this time of crisis and quarantine. So really
Mhm.
thinking, where do you want to be? What do you want for your life after this quarantine is said and done with? And
Mhm.
focusing on that while you're having while you're orgasming, while you're self-exploring, or while you're making love to your partner. So this is something
Mhm.
that you can do as well. That's quite healthy and beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody, I'm gonna out myself here. As
Mm-hmm.
somebody who, so you call it exploration?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, as somebody who has a relationship with exploration that's pretty, mm, it's not as I don't give myself the time that I deserve. It's sort of something that if I feel it, I gotta, handle it, and I'm gonna handle it, and that's sort of how it happens. But what really stood out to me when you talked about your process is that what you start with is appreciating every aspect of your body, really stimulating yourself by your chipo. Like your stimulation is not exterior. It's not thinking about somebody else's body or somebody else's body parts or somebody else's, face or whatever to feel stimulation. You're thinking and present with yourself. So, I really think that's something personally I'm going to try to explore more during this time because it's always been related to somebody else. When I feel like, I need to get to a place of pleasure, I never think about um, my my own self stimulating myself in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it was nice to hear that that is a space that you go to. And I wanted to ask you about your history with exploration. Was it
Mm-hmm.
always that way for you? Did you have a tendency to do it kind of the quick and dirty style? And what was it like for you to transition to this more integrated way of exploring and appreciating yourself uh,
Yeah.
sensually and sexually?
Yeah. So it took some time because, I come from a Catholic family. And so even though I had a lot of sexual energy, there was just so much Catholic guilt. I had a lot of guilt around sexuality. And
Mhm.
so um, it actually wasn't until I was living here in Brazil in my 30s that I began to start self exploring. And I have a friend of mine who she started a magazine, Corset Magazine. Ariel. So she started
Mhm.
Corset Magazine, and she wanted me to write for it. So she was like, "Oh, we're going to be doing an issue on orgasms. And I was like, hmm. I mean, on masturbation. So I was like, okay, I'm out of myself. I was like, I'm going to be talking about this. I need to start masturbating more before I'm like telling other women to do this. So that's really, I had done it here and there, but it had been kind of like the quick using a vibrator. And I was like, okay, Renee, you really need to like go in and like do more exploration with just your hands, not a vibrator, so you can connect more. And the first time when I actually used my hands and I touched myself, it felt really strange. Like when I touched my vagina, I was like, oh, like it didn't really feel that good and that pleasurable to me.
Yeah.
But I also had issues with my partners when they would finger me. Um, it wasn't that enjoyable. So there was definitely a block there. And
Mm-hmm.
so once I started fingering myself and really connecting that, and then doing the tantric massage when I lived in the commune, and just doing a lot of the work with the tantra, that released a lot of the blockages for me. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely been a journey where
Mm-hmm.
I've had to go, and and it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was a long process of a few years, honestly, for me to
Mm-hmm.
get to the point where I can be completely comfortable to self-explore, to love myself, love my body, and be able to like use my hands and have orgasms with using my hands. It took
Mm-hmm.
a long time before I could even squirt with just my hands. You know, and so that's the thing. All women can squirt. Many of them don't um, experience that because they need to learn how to breathe, how to relax, how to trust, let go, make themselves vulnerable, as well as doing a self exploration to connect to their bodies and learn how to feel and what feels good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you could give a couple tips for folks trying taking who are interested in taking advantage of this moment to look inward and be with ourselves and who want to make that transition to exploration, that's sensual and sexual with ourselves. What would be a couple tips for those of us who want to transition to it, like, you know, to make that transition happen? Because we don't have many years and Tantra school to guide us through that. But I imagine there's maybe a couple things you can guide to help with that
Yes,
process.
message me for private online tantra courses.
Very well transitioned to the propaganda.
No, just joking. But seriously, you can send me a message.
Uh-huh.
Private tantra courses. I am doing that. But really, the breath work is key. The
Mm,
breath work is a basic, which is why I'm doing the 21-day breathing technique. Um,
great. So maybe
yeah.
in the 21-day breathing technique, could one idea be, okay, I do the half-hour meditation with you, with the breathing, and then afterwards do the exploration? Would that be something that would like be helpful in that transition? Explore.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Or they could just do the breathing, on their own in the morning when they wake up or at night before they
Mm-hmm.
go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's important that so in terms of tips, what I recommend is just, when you wake up in the morning or at night before you go to sleep, as you're already in your bed, just kind of, if you have coconut oil, get some coconut oil. If I'm sorry, somebody
Mm-hmm.
it says she learns fast. Okay. What do you mean by that? She learns fast. See, she learns fast. Can you explain on that? Oh, okay. I think Phil, this needs to be in a personal conversation. So anyway, yes, I am fast, Phil. Anyway, I do learn quick. So anyway, some of the things that I do recommend um, to do is take some time to self-explore with get some coconut oil, work on your breath first, start breathing, taking deep breaths in and through your nose, out through your mouth, and really just kind of feeling what you're feeling in your body. Um,
Mhm.
it's not easy. Begin to self-explore. You don't have to go right in right away to touching your yoni. Yoni is a Sanskrit word for vagina. Maybe start off with just the breathing first, and then the
Mhm.
next
Mhm.
day, 'cause we got time. They talking about this quarantine might go on until April, until June, July. Maybe the next week or after a couple of days, you feel comfortable with the breath work because the breath work is going to help relax you. Then you start just kind of touching your upper body, just feeling your upper body, breathing into your upper body. Then
Mhm.
after a few days, add on your lower body. So we're doing the upper body, lower body, really just touching, exploring, breathing, going at your pace and just seeing how you feel. Then the next week, you kind of start exploring the yoni, starting with the outer lips, the inner lips, just going at your pace, what feels comfortable, breathing the whole time, and then eventually getting to the clitoris, and then eventually going in, trying to find the G spot, and just going deeper. So just going at your own space, your own time, and
Mhm.
just exploring. No rush. You know. Okay, Phil says the breathing classes have been great.
Great.
Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And so, anyone, I see that there's people on. Please come on and say hello if you have any questions. You don't have just Nefertiti asking questions. You can ask questions as well.
Sorry guys, I love asking questions. I'm very curious. No, and I ask these questions because I think that there might be this idea that if you're single, you have more time and space for this. But I really want to try and commit to the idea that exploration with myself is key in my relationship as well. I think that's a lot of I think that a lot of folks and I name myself as one of them. When I'm in a relationship, I tend to explore myself much less, and it actually can really easily create an imbalance in terms of turning the person we're with into someone we're expecting to give us pleasure. And I think that really understanding that we have the power to give ourselves pleasure um, shifts the way that we relate to who we're dating, whether it's one or two or three people. It really changes, how we depend or not. It you can almost sort of create a level of dependency when you're with somebody and the source of pleasure for yourself is only when you engage with that person. And it's really important for us to think about what is it, how can my relationship expand if I commit to exploring the pleasure for myself um, within a relationship setting, right? So I think it's important that that talking about this is really relevant for if you're single or not during this quarantine, if you're living with a person, if you're dating one or two or three people and trying to manage visits or whatever. Now there's all this space and time for us to sort of commit to exploring and gratifying ourselves. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I want to ask the people that's on, what challenges are you facing in this time, whether you're single or whether you're in a relationship? What are some of the challenges, the most difficult times that you're experiencing while being in this quarantine? Or what are some of the victories? What do you feel has been a blessing? What do
Has
you
been
feel
working
has,
or with.
what has been working for you? So share that. Please comment on that. And we would love to hear, because, we want to hear from you as well. Maybe there's some things that we haven't mentioned yet that you found is working for you, or there's something that's been a challenge, so we can, help and address that. So, yeah, so we definitely love to hear that. So, also a couple of things. It's important that during this time that we're in the root in the during this quarantine, it's important to also establish new routines. Maybe, you know, um, so Victoria says cabin fever, staying active. And that's what I was just about to say is, establishing a new routine might be good, and actually being active, going outside. So you might have just come on, Victoria. So one of the things that I had said earlier is even though we're in quarantine, it's okay to go out and go running. That's one of the things Nefertiti is inspiring me to do, to go running, so that you don't get cabin fever. Even though we're in quarantine, you can go out and go running. You know, it doesn't mean that you have to just stay stuck in the house. It's being um, cautious when you go out and making sure you're in a, you're at a distance with other people. You're not so close in front of them where they're breathing on you, or if they're coughing. So you stay your distance. Go running. If you're at a park, go to the park. Create a new routine where both of you could say, okay, um, Nefertiti talked about this as well. Okay, how about, you know, um, I cook this, you cook. Let's do yoga at this time. Set a schedule. Maybe a schedule might be good, maybe not. But try it. Try different things and see what works. Maybe you can set a schedule where you're like, okay, at this time we're going to do yoga today together, or breathe, or separate, or by yourself if you're alone. At this time I'm going to um, read a book. This time I'm going to work on myself, because in that way you can kind of remember. Sometimes it's easy for the time to just go by really fast, and you're like, I wanted to do these things, and then you don't get any of it done.
Mhm.
You know?
I wanted to bring up the cabin fever. Just got back from Europe, so trying to stay home as much as possible. But there are things I can do. So I think what's funny about day-to-day life before the quarantine is our lives are sort of compartmentalized in the things we have to do to make money, to eat, et cetera, that we don't really give ourselves permission to be expansive beyond what we sort of imagined we could be. And when I say that, I mean like, I'm a dancer and a performer, so I work a lot with my body. And one of the things that is great for people to do who have cabin fever and maybe they don't want to do a class, or they don't have a certain level of a particular kind of training, is to just give yourself permission for spontaneous dance.
I
um,
like that.
Spontaneous dance is beautiful because it allows you to just feel what you're hearing, and to really be present. So, with spontaneous dance, the goal is to be present with every movement you make and to create paths with the movements that you're making. So if you start dancing with your hand, how is it that it moves to your arm? How is it that it moves to your shoulder? And how do you want to just keep moving with your shoulder? Do you move really fast, really slow? Do you jump? Do you
Sexy.
stop? Do you just look? Do you dance with your eyes? Do you dance with your neck? So really just use spontaneous dance to explore dancing and moving every aspect of your body to some kind of music that you love. There's music that we all love. There's music that we're, exploring, and we like to listen to it, but we limit ourselves in the relationship we have to the music to just listening while we're doing something else, while we're washing dishes, while we're working. But really give yourself permission to dance with the music that you love. Because you know what? Nobody's watching except you. You ain't got nowhere else
Exactly.
to be, and you can get your heart rate moving, and it just feels good to dance because you love, because to see where the music can take you.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's it. I mean, really, I think there's a lot of online stuff going on and all these things, but I think that for folks who are trying to limit their screen time, and
Hmm.
also just, again, going back to this moment of being a moment to really connect with ourselves and what we love beyond sort of the day-to-day things we have to do, I think spontaneous dance is fantastic. Just pick a music, however you're feeling in that moment. If you're angry, put some angry music on. If you're feeling light, put some light music on. There's all kinds of symphonies around the world that are live streaming their concertos, and we have access to these things, and just kind of see where these things take you, and without the pressure of having to look like a dancer from So You Think You Can Dance, or from
Right.
music videos. I think there's a lot of pressure to be beautiful and to kick ass in whatever we're doing, that it doesn't give us we don't give ourselves permission to just feel. So I really
Yeah.
want to encourage folks to just spontaneous dance, do you, because it feels good. You're not doing it for anyone to see, and see what happens, see how you feel.
Yes. So a couple of people commented on that, Nefertiti.
Hmm.
Amanda said, I love the suggestion of dance and that
Hmm.
she's been doing hikes here in North Carolina, Amanda North Cross. So that was awesome. And Anthony says, I shall dance. I will see where the
Yay!
music, yes, I will see where the music can take me. Thank you for that.
Yes, we need to
And
dance.
yes. And Victoria says, you mentioned coconut oil. Are there benefits to using that versus some other oil lubricant? Yes, Victoria. So I mentioned coconut oil. For those who are just coming on, when I was talking about masturbation, using an oil for masturbation or even with sex, coconut oil, because coconut oil is a natural antibacterial. So, and it's just overall really good for you, really good for your skin. And then also, it's edible. So, unlike other things that might be a little bit more harmful for you if it goes in your mouth or putting it on your skin, I like to say whatever you're putting on your skin, you should be able to eat because your skin has pores. So if you're using something that you wouldn't eat, then you shouldn't be using it. But that's kind of my
Makes
philosophy.
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And not that I do that with everything, because there are times I put stuff on my body that I shouldn't, but I try not to.
Oh.
So speaking of that, guys, so we were talking about trying new things. I hope that answered your question, Victoria, for the oil because it's natural anti-bacterial. But when I was talking with the couples about trying new things, um, sperm has a lot of health benefits. So if you're with a male partner and you guys are exploring together, making love, and he comes, take your sperm and put it over your body, on your face, on your breast, on your chest, wherever. And sperm has a lot of nutrients, it has a lot of proteins. So that's going to help. It's like a good, nice firming mask for your face. And it's just really good for you. So explore with that. And your partner might be like, ooh, oh my God, she or he is a freak. I'm feeling this. So explore different things that's healthy for you. And we know that we need as much proteins and nutrients as we can get right now with this pandemic. So, hey, we could get it through sperm. Let's do it. If you have a partner, of course. We can't go out and just choose some random person on the street and get his sperm.
Can you imagine?
Renee said, I need sperm for nutrients and protein. And so, yes, I did, but I didn't say go get it from any stranger on the street.
Yes. Um, and she's asking about coconut oil for the body, yes? For the,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah. So, Victoria said, LOL. So, any other tips you can give, Nefertiti? That was really great about the dance. I really like that. And
For the
that's
cabin
actually
fever,
for the cabin fever.
yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? Um, I actually really like that. Do you have any other tips for cabin fever? I think I'm going to start doing that because I love to dance too.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
Another thing for cabin fever, this is personal. I have issues with balance. So, what I've been doing is taking advantage of the walls in my house to work on the balance on one foot. So, doing different kinds of yoga poses, yoga-esque poses. Not all of them are exactly yoga poses, asanas, but they're similar, where you stand on one foot, you bring your knee to your chest as much as you can. Try to let go of the wall. It gives you a nice, really good stretch in your hips. So a lot of times when we have cabin fever, when we have anxiety, it goes into our joints. So depending on your body type, some people it goes into their knees a lot. Other folks their ankles. I have a lot of tension in my hips, so I've been doing a lot of hip opening type of work on the ground, but also just working on my balance. So I have a really difficult relationship with balance. I get really frustrated really quickly, and I get upset because I can't hold my balance. So I've just been working that patience, using the walls, really trying to hold, my leg forward or bring it back. You can also put your foot onto your inner thigh so that your knee is pointing laterally. That's another thing you can work on. You can work on your balance on your tiptoes. So that's really good for strengthening your feet, your Achilles heel, your calf muscles. Just doing a few up and down on your tiptoes and down, trying to hold it each time a little bit more. Hold it for 5, then hold it for 10, then hold it for 15, hold it for 20, to really just try it. It's a way to strengthen our body and really feel present in our body. And it's also a challenge. So I think what helps with cabin fever is thinking about what kind of challenges can I give myself that I can work towards during this time, where each
And
day I'm sort of making progression.
and I do have to say that yes, Nefertiti used to have some really some serious issues with balance. I remember when we were at the beach and she was standing up. We're all standing up talking. Next thing you know, she's like, "I'm falling" in slow motion, and we were all like, "What the hell?" And the next thing you know, she was on the ground. We were like, "Oh shit!" We were like, "How does somebody fall standing up?"
I have no idea, but I'm working on it during this time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. I think that's the thing, is thinking about what are my challenges. So do you have hip issues? Do you have, do you want to work on your upper body? How is it that that's something you can make progress toward each day? Is there, I'm trying to think, just kind of, because I'm in a different context. I mean, I think everybody's already cleaned out their house and 10 times already. So I don't think that's really something to do. But since I work with my body, a lot of the things I'm doing to deal with cabin fever have to do with how can I, what are challenges that I can sort of start now and make progress towards each day. And yeah, to sort of feel good. I think it's about how can we continue to make sure we feel good, take advantage of this time to engage with our bodies
Yeah.
more, because
Yeah.
we live really disconnected to them generally.
Yeah. And I do
Um,
want to add on to that. You're saying, hello, Imani from Bali. Welcome. I do want to say you talked about feeling good. How can our body feels good? But I do want to make a point too that, you know what, if you're feeling bad, you're getting cabin fever and you're feeling down, you know what? Maybe this is a time to dig down deep into those emotions, because I'm a person who used to always want to like escape what I'm feeling and not really process if I was feeling down or my fears. So this might be a time to actually go in and just allow the sadness to come up, allow frustration to come up, and work through it and feel it.
mhm,
And
mhm,
once you feel it, what happens when you come out onto the other side? You
mhm,
know,
mhm,
and so
mhm.
it's also equally important to allow yourself to feel whatever negative emotions might come
Yes,
up, and then
yes,
process where are these coming from. Why am I
yeah,
feeling so sad because I'm alone, or
yeah.
what's going on within me? And so that can be a really important time to go deep into whatever emotional, mental, psychological things that we might have been repressing or not dealing with.
Mhm,
You know.
mhm, mhm. No, I mean, I think during this time, I think there's definitely moments where we're not feeling great. This whole morning, I was struggling because, the order came out yesterday that whoever's living abroad and a U.S. citizen should go as soon as possible or risk, not coming back for an indeterminate amount of time. And so that generated a lot of anxiety. I didn't do anything with my body. I was sort of disconnected. I think what I tend to do as well is I disconnect from eating right. I sort of have these patterns that I move into. And I think at the same time, what really helped me this time was that I processed it a lot with more than one person. And
Mhm.
that is a big thing as well. I think that I'm someone that I've always had a hard time asking for help and asking for support. and it's gotten me into some really difficult situations because I could have asked sooner. And so this because this moment requires, what's become a priority is communication. I just reached out to as many people as I know that I trust with this dilemma. And the more I was able to process it, the more it became clearer to me personally what was the right decision. And so thinking about whenever we're feeling, strange about something, um, really utilizing our networks and our community and thinking about, okay, yeah, I deserve to reach out to someone, and I deserve to be heard by somebody who cares about me with whatever I'm dealing with. I think a lot of us try to deal with things on our own, but also looking at this moment to think about, how can I reach out more when I need to, um, and really just like understand yourself as somebody who has the right to be heard,
Mhm.
and the right to be held, so people can
Right,
hold space for you as well. So that was a
right.
really good lesson for me today. Thank you, Renee. You were one of them. Yay!
I love you. Virtual hug, virtual hug. And also it's important to really limit the amount of television news, to
Yes.
not be bombarded. I've gotten out of a lot of groups. I've had tons of people sending me private messages, and I know that it's out of love and it's caring and checking on me, but sending messages about the coronavirus. And I really had to tell people, please, thank you for caring. Do not send me anything related to the coronavirus, because I'm in tons of groups and I've left several groups, and I decided to stay in just like two groups, so that I'm not being bombarded by like the 15 different WhatsApp groups that I'm in, getting
Mm-hmm.
messages on coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
So many fake news, so many good news. Then we're watching regular news. Then it's on the radio. So it's like I made the choice to like limit how much of this I'm getting into myself. I'm making sure that I'm staying informed, but I've muted a lot of my WhatsApp groups. So I go in when I decide to go in to check the messages. And then the rest of the time, I'm blocking that off where I'm not, being bombarded by that, because that's a good way of just stressing yourself, especially if you're an empath. I'm an empath. And
Mm-hmm.
so I take on a lot of things from the different people. So that's really difficult for me. It's really hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and so we have to take care of ourselves in that way as well.
Yes, that's something I have not mastered yet. I did make that a goal to make a specific amount of time and a time during the day where I do engage with information, because it's
Mhm.
just, I feel like it's necessary and it is something that is urgent for me, especially as we live far from our families. So what happens in the US is something that it's always concerning. But to really limit the time and a certain time of the day for that, I think is key for our own mental well-being. Otherwise, we sort of let ourselves get consumed, and I've been letting myself get consumed um, by this moment. And I think that's we really need to put those parameters and really commit to those parameters.
Right. So, one person, Imani, said that she has difficult time asking for help.
Mhm.
And so, so this is a good time to like really think about what you need, where you're at, and then being able to express it, because sometimes it's difficult to ask for help when we don't even know what we want. So
Mhm.
just using this time to really journal, writing down, what help do I need? What do I need in this moment? What's going to be most beneficial? And then once you realize what's most beneficial, expressing that. And that's what I had to realize, that what I needed right now is to not be bombarded by so much information on the coronavirus on the news. And I honestly believe that the more energy we put on something, the more it expands. So the more we keep talking about the coronavirus, the more energy we're giving to it, and the more it's going to get worse. So I think that we need to, again, not saying that, not to know that, say that this is happening, that it exists, but let's start thinking about other things as well. Let's thinking about positive things. Let's pray. Let's send energy, positive energy into the universe, to this planet, you know and not just keep thinking coronavirus, 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 because that's just expanding that. The universe is only hearing that. So let's expand and think health, safety, strength, love, connection, all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important, you know.
It is.
So, if anyone has any last question, comments, maybe we can just kind of summarize. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, so this has been really good. It's a lot of information, and thank you for those who have been asking questions and putting comments. You want to give a little summary about what you've mentioned? You talked about dance
Yeah, so
and
I think
balance.
from the beginning, I think sort of what the fundamental takeaway from this conversation is to really take this quarantine as an opportunity for us to make time for us, to make time to explore what we enjoy, what our pleasures are, to make time to see ourselves um, as deserving of pleasure that we ourselves can give ourselves, whether that's
Yeah.
sexual pleasure, whether that's you know dancing spontaneously, whether that's asking for help and reaching out and letting yourself be heard, but really giving ourselves this time to engage in all those things and make time and space for what we always put aside in our day-to-day life.
hmm Yeah, and that's really good. And I think that just summarizing some other points with the self exploration, connecting, is really taking the time to not like rush and just be
Hmm.
like, okay, I want to get off. I just want to have an orgasm so that I
Yeah.
can release stress, tension. Let's connect. Let's get to know our bodies. Let's touch ourselves from our head to our toes, like every part of our bodies, breathing together, breathing in
Hmm.
through our nose, out through our mouth, and just really feeling and making a connection with ourselves. If you have a partner, connecting with your partner, breathing together with your partner, eye gazing with your partner, um, taking this time to read books, read self-help books, and do the practices that they say in this book. Journal. Go deep down into what you're feeling and your emotions. Feel your emotions. Move. Be free. Dance. Do yoga. There's lots of free yoga on YouTube, on different people's Instagram. Do breathing techniques. Feel free to join my 21-day breathing technique and do that. This is a good time to maybe connect with your friends virtually and reconnect socially, which what we haven't been doing. Do video calls, actually see your friend and talk to them instead of just texting all the time that like we normally do. And so
Hmm.
those are really important things to do. So
Yes.
Nefertiti, can you share with people how people can keep in touch with you if people want to keep in touch with you? What's your social media handles?
Okay, so that's what I'm working on during the quarantine. I have an Instagram, but I'm not very active on it for many reasons. So, but you can still access it's at Nefertiti, Nefertiti underline Charlene, Charlene.
Can you
And I
spell
am
that one more time?
yeah, Nefertiti, like the queen, underline Charlene, Charlene. And I am currently building my website. So by the end of this month, I should have my website up with more information about my performance work, classes I teach, the work I'm interested in, and all that good stuff. But for now,
Yeah.
Instagram works, and Facebook is I access more than Instagram.
Mhm.
So my
Yeah.
Facebook is the same.
Okay, so Facebook is the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you can reach Nefertiti on Instagram or Facebook at Nefertiti underscore Charlene. Nefertiti underscore Charlene. Charlene. And I put that on the screen. And I really think that Nefertiti could be leading some dance classes online.
Yes.
And just even not necessarily, it doesn't have to necessarily be like dance classes, but connecting with people to dance together and having music
Right.
to just
Mhm.
move and freestyle. I think that's so important. for us to do and to just move our bodies. And one of the things with Tantra, the work that I do, a lot of our online meditations, a lot of my meditations are active meditations, which include dancing, movement, breath work, and sound, because it's important. Movement, dance is so important to really get the energy moving throughout the body, to release traumas that's in their bodies. So those are things that's really good. Hit me up as well if you're interested in doing any online courses, online sessions. I'm available for that as well, um, at www.prandaprem.com. That's PRANDHARAPREM.com. That's also my Instagram, Prandata Prem. That's also my Facebook, Prandata Prem, or Renee Adolphi. So you can find me at one of those things. So this has been a good live. It's been an hour and 20 minutes. Lots of information. If you didn't
Ain't
start
got
from
nowhere else to be.
right, you gotta know what you do. So if you haven't seen it from the beginning, go back, return, watch it from the beginning. We said some really good stuff, some good tips. I think that we can go on and do another one and go even deeper into this. Um, Guys, look, we can do another one and write down some questions, ask some questions. Oh, so there was one person in the beginning, Natasha, who wanted to know about the chart. You
Yes.
were doing the chart, astrology
So
chart. How could she learn that?
I
How
think
do we learn?
the most wonderful astrologist in the world right now is Chani Nicholas. She is a queer, radical, militant astrologer who, if you go to chaninicholas.com,
How do you spell that? C H A
Chani
N I.
Nicholas, Nicholas.com.
Okay, I'm writing this down. Spell that again, please. CHANINICHOLAS .com.
Yes. So on her site, she has forecasts, she has affirmations for each astrological sign and your ascendant, and she has a chart calculator where you can calculate your chart, and it states what your signs are in each planet. And then she just came out with an amazing, fantastic book that's available in print and online, where you can analyze your own chart given her guidelines. It's really great. So yeah, that's what I recommend.
All right. So there you have it. Go to www.shininicholas.com. It's in the notes. And thank you guys for being here. This was awesome. So Nefertiti and I, we're going to have to do this again.
We
This was
will with our red
awesome.
lips.
Oh, yeah, you see our red lips? We got the red lips on.
Got the red lips
Yes.
on.
So tell us, what do you think about the name? How do you like the red lipstick toss? Tell us. We want to hear your opinion. All right. Well, we got to go.
Bye,
Love you
everybody.
guys.
Thank you.
Good night. Love you. Thank you.
Bye, Renee. Love ya.
Peace and blessings. Love you too. Bye.